The fundamental and the most important point about this entire dossier scandal about Russian meddling is that the dossier itself was prepared in part with the assistance of the Justice Department. This phony, lying, obviously ridiculous document that was peddled for a year as being an independent product of a group called Fusion GPS was in fact prepared closely in cooperation and collaboration with the Department of Justice. This was a policy of the Justice Department under Obama. Try to get Hillary elected, Trump defeated, but if they lose, and if Hillary was defeated and Trump became president, this was what they called their insurance policy. This phony investigation of Russian meddling, centering around a phony dossier that the Justice Department had collaborated with Fusion in preparing. The evidence of this is completely obliterated and whitewashed in a New York Times special, a long article about Glenn Simpson in Monday's edition. It goes on about the details of his career and his personal life and so on, including the lovely detail that they served chicken fried steak at his wedding. In this catalog in the Times story of domestic felicity, they omit the fundamental fact that the wife of Bruce Orr, the Associate Attorney General of the United States, was an employee of Fusion while the dossier was being developed. When Eileen and I wrote Rogue Spooks, the intelligence war on Donald Trump, that really predicted all of this, and you should get a copy because it predicts what comes next. We wondered, and we talked among ourselves, where did all this come from? Who was Fusion preparing this lying, ridiculous piece of garbage called the dossier? And in our wild, we wondered if the British did it, if the Russians did it, if the Ukrainians did it. But in our wildest imagination, it only began to occur to us as the book neared publication that maybe it was the FBI that did it. And we suggest that possibility. And more it becomes clear that this was their insurance policy against the Donald Trump victory. The Times also continues to treat the dossier as a document worthy of comment. Just today, Michael Cohen, who is Trump's personal attorney, his office was a few doors down from him, sued about the dossier because it said that he flew to Prague and negotiated with the Russians the deal for the Russians to meddle in the U.S. election, and that he was Trump's representative in those ongoing negotiations. Total lie, total fiction. Cohen had never been to Prague. His passport proved that. And Cohen is now litigating, suing for libel based on that. The distortions and the lies in that dossier are so extensive that to use it as the basis for anything is ridiculous. And to use it, as the Justice Department did, as the basis for getting FISA warrants is absurd. Somebody at Justice sat down with a negative researcher, wrote a fictitious document, circulated it in public, and then used the document as the basis for getting a warrant to wiretap people to see if what they said about them is true. That's essentially what this boils down to.